The moon of Vega 9 glowed faintly in the endless black of space, its dusty surface marked with craters and jagged metal wreckage from a battle long past. Lyra remembered this place clearly, though she had been too young to understand what was happening at the time. All she had remembered was fear, the deafening sounds of explosions, fire erupting from the shattered buildings, and the chaos of people running in every direction. She remembered how cold and alone she had felt, trapped beneath fallen metal beams, unable to move, unable to call for help. And then out of the smoke and ruin, a figure had appeared, a human soldier, though she had never seen another like him before. He had lifted the metal debris with strength she could not comprehend, and had carried her to safety, shielding her from the flames that threatened to consume everything. She did not know his name, and she did not see his face clearly beyond the streaks of soot and blood, but she remembered his eyes. They were kind yet firm, determined yet gentle. They had given her hope when hope seemed impossible. Now, many years later, Lyra stood aboard the human military starbase, a sleek structure of silver and glass orbiting a peaceful world. She had grown taller, stronger, and wiser, trained by her people to be both a diplomat and a protector of her world. But inside, a small part of her still felt like the frightened little girl she had been on Vega 9. That girl had survived because of one human soldier, and she had never forgotten him. Though her world had moved on, she had carried that memory like a secret treasure. The thought of finally seeing him again made her heart race. Her first steps on the starbase were cautious. Humans moved around with efficiency, speaking in rapid bursts, their faces showing little emotion. Lyra had studied human behavior extensively, but seeing them in person was different. There was a raw energy to their presence, a mix of discipline and unpredictability. She tried to focus on her mission, peace talks and alliance discussions, but her mind kept returning to the soldier. Where was he? What had become of him? Did he even remember her? As she walked through the corridors, she noticed a line of guards. Their armor was standard issue, polished and functional, but it was the stance, the alertness that caught her attention. One soldier in particular made her stop. He was older than she expected, his uniform marked with badges of service, his posture steady and disciplined. But it was his eyes that struck her, those same kind, determined eyes she had seen all those years ago. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. She froze for a moment, unsure if her mind was playing tricks on her. The soldier noticed her staring. He tilted his head slightly, studying her as if trying to place her face. Recognition did not come immediately. Then something clicked. His eyes widened and a faint tremor passed through his hands. He remembered. Of course he remembered. The chaos of that day on Vega 9 had never left him. He had carried a young alien girl to safety, shielding her from certain death, and then vanished into the battle. He had thought she might not survive, that the memory of her might be lost to him forever. And yet, here she was, standing before him, older and stronger, but unmistakably the same girl he had saved. Lyra took a careful step forward. "Do you remember a little girl on Vega 9, trapped under metal beams?" she asked softly, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and hope. The soldier's mouth opened, then closed. His eyes held hers, searching, as if he was trying to recall a memory that was both distant and vivid. Then slowly, recognition spread across his face. "Lyra?" he whispered, barely above a breath. She nodded, tears threatening to fall. "It's me," she said. I survived because of you." He shook his head in disbelief, a mix of relief and astonishment on his face. I thought you..." His voice faltered. He had long assumed that the girl he saved might not have made it, that he had failed in some way, despite doing everything he could. And yet here she was, proof that his actions had mattered, that one life could be saved by courage and determination. For a long moment they simply stared at each other, both overwhelmed by the reunion. Words seemed unnecessary. The connection they shared, forged years ago in the crucible of fire and fear, spoke louder than any language could. Lyra remembered every detail of that day, the way he had lifted the metal, the way he had held her close to protect her from the explosions, the way he had whispered reassuring words when the world was falling apart around them. And now, standing in the controlled calm of the starbase, she felt that same protection, that same courage, emanating from him. Before they could speak further, the sound of alarms echoed through the corridor. Lyra's heart sank. She was escorted away by security personnel for formal meetings with the Starbase's Command Council. Protocol dictated strict separation between military personnel and foreign delegates, and though she wished to stay, she had no choice. She gave Ethan one last look, memorizing his face, his posture, the lines etched by years of service and hardship. During the meeting, Lyra struggled to focus. The diplomats and officers spoke in rapid-fire terms of trade, defense, and interstellar politics, but her mind wandered to the soldier. She thought about what he had done for her, the risk he had taken without hesitation. She felt a surge of gratitude and admiration that went beyond simple thanks. She had been alive because of him. Her life, her choices, her future, all of it traced back to that one moment. After the meeting, she managed to leave a message for him, carefully delivered through secure channels. The note was simple but heartfelt. I did not survive because of luck. I survived because of you. I will find you again. She knew it was not much, but it was enough to let him know that she remembered, that she cared, and that she would seek him out again when circumstances allowed. Ethan received the message quietly, his hands trembling slightly as he held it. Memories of that day on Vega 9 returned in sharp relief. The fear, the destruction, the small, fragile girl whose life had been in his hands. He had always wondered if she had survived, if she had grown up strong and capable, and now he knew she had. She had become someone remarkable, someone who carried the strength of survival and the wisdom of experience. That night, as he stood alone on the observation deck of the starbase, looking out at the vast expanse of stars, Ethan thought about the years that had passed. He thought about the battles he had fought, the lives he had saved, and the ones he had lost. But none of those memories were as vivid as the memory of Lyra. He had risked his life for a child he barely knew, yet that act of courage had rippled across time to shape both of their destinies. He realized that the connection they shared was rare, almost impossible. A bond formed not by choice but by fate and circumstance. Lyra, too, could not sleep. She wandered the quarters assigned to her, staring out at the stars, thinking about the human soldier who had saved her life. She thought about the years she had spent wondering if she would ever see him again, if she would ever be able to tell him what he meant to her, how he had shaped her very being. She had grown up learning to be independent, to rely on her own strength, yet she could not deny the truth. She owed her life, in part, to him. And more than that, she owed a part of herself, the part that knew courage and kindness could exist even in the darkest moments, to the human soldier who had risked everything to save her. The next day brought the formal peace talks, but the memory of their brief encounter lingered in every moment. Lyra and Ethan moved through the starbase in separate paths dictated by protocol, yet their minds were intertwined by memory and recognition. Every glance, every movement, every shared moment from the past seemed to echo in the present. They were connected by something intangible but unbreakable, a silent understanding that neither time nor distance could erase. As the day ended, Lyra found herself standing at a balcony overlooking the vast docking bay of the starbase. Ships of every shape and size moved in and out, humans and aliens alike navigating the bustling hub of activity. She felt a strange mixture of hope and apprehension. She knew that eventually she would see him again. Fate had brought them together once, and fate would not let them be separated forever. Ethan, on the other side of the station, looked at the stars with a similar sense of anticipation. He did not know what the future held, only that the girl he had saved so long ago had returned to his life. He did not fully understand the emotions stirring inside him, gratitude, admiration, a strange warmth. But he knew that the bond they shared was rare and precious. He had saved her once, and now he would have the chance to protect her again, in whatever form the future demanded, and so, across the silent corridors and gleaming halls of the starbase, two lives that had once intersected in the chaos of war were poised to meet again. The memory of a frightened little girl and the soldier who had saved her would guide them forward, as they faced a future full of uncertainty, danger, and the promise of connection. In that quiet, powerful recognition, both Lyra and Ethan understood that their story was far from over. It had only just begun. The next morning, Lyra woke early, her mind restless. Sleep had come fitfully, haunted by memories of Vega 9 and the fleeting moments she had shared with the human soldier. She moved quietly through her quarters, careful not to disturb the other delegates, and gazed out at the starbase's vast expanse. Ships glided through space like silver fish in a dark ocean, and the lights of distant planets flickered against the infinite void. Despite the beauty, Lyra's thoughts returned to Ethan. She had known she would see him again, but she had not anticipated how strong her feelings of admiration and curiosity would be. The day brought a flurry of meetings and protocol exercises. Lyra presented her people's technological innovations, spoke of peace initiatives, and answered countless questions from both human and alien officials. All the while, she could feel Ethan's presence nearby. She caught glimpses of him through windows, saw the disciplined way he moved, the careful attention he gave to the proceedings. It was as if he were aware of her, watching silently just as he had on the day he saved her. Every time their eyes met, a silent understanding passed between them, and Lyra felt her pulse quicken. But the peaceful atmosphere of the starbase would not last. During a routine inspection, alarms blared through the corridors, red lights flashing in rapid sequences. Lyra's heart sank as security personnel rushed past, their faces tense. A group of extremists from her own planet had infiltrated the station. Their goal was sabotage, an attack that could derail months of peace negotiations and endanger everyone on board. Lyra's training kicked in immediately. She could not stand by while innocent lives were at risk, yet she also knew that she could not face the threat alone. She needed Ethan. She moved quickly through the corridors, her advanced alien combat suit allowing her to navigate obstacles and security barriers with ease. Her mind raced as she searched for him, hoping that the soldier who had saved her once would be there again when she needed him most. She found him near the central docking bay, where ships were being prepped for deployment. He had already assessed the situation, his eyes scanning the area, his body poised for action. When he saw her, a look of recognition crossed his face, followed by a slight nod. Without words, they understood each other. The past and present converged in a single moment of clarity. They would fight together, as they had once survived together. The extremists moved swiftly, armed with advanced weaponry and familiar with the layout of the starbase. Lyra and Ethan took strategic positions, using the corridors and docking bays to their advantage. Ethan relied on his combat experience, precise and controlled, while Lyra utilized her alien technology, her agility and knowledge of advanced tactics complementing his every move. Together they formed an unspoken partnership, anticipating each other's moves, covering blind spots, and striking with efficiency. During the height of the confrontation, an explosion rocked the station. Debris rained down and alarms blared even louder. Ethan acted instinctively, throwing himself in front of Lyra to shield her from a blast. She felt the force of the impact and instinctively tried to pull him back, but he had already absorbed the brunt of it. For a moment she froze, memories of that day on Vega 9 flooding her mind. He had saved her once, risking his own life, and now he was doing the same again. Lyra shook off the shock and realized she could not let history repeat itself. Using a combination of agility and precision, she pulled Ethan out of harm's way, landing them both safely behind a control console. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from the intensity of the shared experience. "It's my turn to protect you," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. The extremists had underestimated them. The combination of human skill and alien ingenuity proved overwhelming. Lyra and Ethan moved through the corridors, neutralizing threats, rescuing trapped personnel and securing critical systems. Each time they faced danger, their unspoken understanding grew stronger, their trust in each other absolute. By the time the last extremist was apprehended, the station was battered but safe, the peace talk still intact. As the alarms finally ceased and the lights returned to normal, the station commander approached. He surveyed the aftermath with a mixture of relief and admiration. Lyra and Ethan stood together side by side, two figures united by courage and experience. The commander suggested that Ethan receive a medal for his actions, but Lyra stepped forward before he could speak. "That man is already a hero," she said clearly, her eyes meeting Ethan's. "He saved me once, and today he saved us all." Her words carried the weight of years, of memories, of a bond forged in fire and strengthened through time. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest he could not explain, a quiet pride mingled with humility. Later, in private, Lyra handed Ethan a small pendant. It was simple, crafted from a rare crystal from her home planet, shaped into a symbol representing life and protection. "This is not a romantic gift," she explained, "but a vow of eternal gratitude and loyalty. You saved my life once, and you have proven your courage again." Ethan took it carefully, turning it over in his hands. The gesture was meaningful, a tangible representation of the connection they shared. He looked at her, his expression calm but filled with emotion. "I didn't save you to be remembered," he said softly, "but I'm glad you did. I'm glad you survived, and I'm glad you're here." For the first time since their reunion began, he allowed himself a small, rare smile. The days following the attack were filled with debriefings, repairs, and renewed diplomatic discussions. Yet despite the busyness, the connection between Lyra and Ethan remained. They moved through the starbase, sometimes working side by side, sometimes exchanging brief, meaningful glances. Each moment reinforced the bond that had begun years ago in the chaos of Vega 9. Lyra began to understand more about the human soldier who had saved her. He was disciplined, cautious, and observant. Yet beneath the hardened exterior was a compassion that guided his every action. She realized that the courage he had shown that day on Vega 9 was not a single act, but a reflection of his character, one that had remained constant throughout the years. Ethan, in turn, learned more about Lyra. She was intelligent, resourceful, and determined. Shaped by her experiences and her survival, she carried the strength of someone who had faced danger and fear and had emerged stronger. He saw in her the resilience that had once inspired him to act, the same qualities that had made him risk everything to save her. One evening, after the formal activities had ended, they found themselves alone on a quiet observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and the soft hum of the station created a peaceful backdrop. Lyra turned to Ethan, her expression thoughtful. "I never expected to see you again," she said quietly. "I wondered for so many years if you remembered me, if you thought about that day, if you cared." Ethan met her gaze, his eyes steady. "I remembered you every day," he said simply. "I thought about that little girl I saved, wondering if she had survived, hoping she would. And now I see you, and I realize that moment mattered more than I could have known." They stood in silence for a while, the memories of the past and the events of the present merging into a quiet understanding. Neither needed to speak. The bond between them was clear. They had survived chaos together, faced danger side by side, and shared a connection that transcended time and circumstance. In the days that followed, Lyra and Ethan continued to work together, their partnership recognized by both humans and aliens alike. They trained together, planned security measures, and collaborated on diplomatic initiatives. Yet their relationship was not defined by obligation or duty alone. It was defined by trust, mutual respect, and the unspoken understanding that they had saved each other's lives, one in the past, one in the present. The story of Vega 9 became a quiet legend on the starbase, told in whispers among soldiers and diplomats. A human soldier had risked everything to save a young alien girl, and years later, they had reunited to face danger once more. Their actions became a symbol of unity and courage, demonstrating that bonds between species could be forged not only through diplomacy, but through shared experience and bravery. Lyra never forgot the little girl she had once been, nor the soldier who had saved her. And Ethan never forgot the human instinct that had guided him to act, the compassion that had compelled him to protect someone smaller and more vulnerable. Together they had created a story of heroism, trust, and connection that neither time nor distance could erase. As the starbase settled into calm once more, Lyra and Ethan stood side by side watching the stars. They knew that future challenges would come, that dangers might arise, and that the universe was vast and unpredictable. But they also knew that whatever happened, they would face it together. Not as a rescuer and a rescued, but as equals bonded by courage, loyalty, and the memory of a day that had changed their lives forever. The moon of Vega 9 was distant now, a memory in the endless cosmos, but its significance remained alive in both their hearts. What had begun as a single act of bravery had grown into a lifelong connection, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, hope, courage, and kindness could light the way. And as Lyra and Ethan continued their journey, they carried that light forward, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them in the vastness of space, together.